Sims, let's go.
Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you're watching the GSL Talk Show. Tonight, we're going to be chatting again with Miss Yvette Walker, and she has some really exciting updates to share. So stay tuned.
That I'm not the type of girl that goes. She wishing I would have a one night affair.
Welcome back to the GSL Talk Show, and welcome back to the lovely Miss Yvette Walker, guys. Give it up for her.
Thank you. I am very happy to be back on the show. Thank you so much.
Yes, I'm happy to have you back as well. I know we just went on our whole little mystery dive real quick. Like, wait a minute. I'm having a
Like,
moment of
yes.
deja vu.
That is right. No, I have been here before. Yes. Yeah, but we're gonna talk about some more good stuff today. So yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm excited to talk about more great things as well. I know you mentioned you have a new book coming and things of that nature. So, yes, just go ahead and give us a little update, Miss Yvette. How have you been doing?
I've been fine. So I am, and I think that I have been here in Kansas City, but I had a big move last year. And I'm in Kansas City, Missouri now. I was in Oklahoma before. I kind of don't remember kind of where I was when we talked. For a new job, and husband's having his first Kansas City winter. He's an Oklahoma boy, so it's been kind of a change, and a lot went on, but I'm still full of joy, as you can see, and the Lord has really been here for the transition that we had, and just kind of getting settled. And there's a lot going on this year. He gave me some opportunities to speak at different events last year, which again, I want to keep doing that. I want to talk about the book today, which has some romance in it. And so, but it is, but it's a Christian character. So yeah, we're going to get into all that today.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. Look, say hello to hubby. Hopefully the transition is going well and he's, adapting to, because listen, y'all, I know we in the future now when y'all watching, but right now she just told me she's in 8-degree weather. Did I get that right?
Yes, 8 degrees right now. It is going to get lower every time he says, you want to go shovel the walk? I'm just looking at him going, yeah, that's your job.
Oh no. Oh my goodness.
No, he's a good one. He's a good one.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so funny because we were getting snow warnings here in Georgia, and to me that's always laughable because I feel like snow here is just like ice on the ground,
Yeah, but
but
sometimes that ice can be dangerous.
That's true. That's true. Not to make light of it or whatever, but I'm like, y'all see real snow. Like for you to have to shovel the walk and stuff like that sounds like it's some real snow.
Yeah, no, it's real.
Oh,
but
man.
I'm a Chicago girl, so I'm used to it.
Oh, yeah.
But see, he's an Oklahoma boy, so that's the difference. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I hope you all are adapting, that things are going well and stuff like that. And
yeah, we are.
Look, keeping each other warm.
Yeah, trying to. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's, my sister's in Denver and we chat a lot about just different things. And she says, well, you've got your husband there. And it's just such a blessing. It's such a blessing because, we are an older married couple. And what I mean by that is we got married later in life. I think on the last show, we talked a little bit about my first marriage, and my husband, who has passed on now, had a bipolar disorder that was kind of undiagnosed for a while. And it was a really difficult marriage. And that marriage did result in a divorce. And, we were married in the church. And so that was tough. And I really felt for a long time that, that I had not, now, well, I didn't know at the time, but now I understand that I didn't fully lean on God during that time. Now, I'm not saying what would have happened wouldn't have happened. I don't know. But just for me to understand the Lord was with me during that time and to lean on him, I did not do that as much as I know I should have, as much as I realize that today. So we're in this kind of later in life marriage, but our faith is equal. We're equally yoked, which was different the last time. It's so important for no matter what relationship you're in, you need to be equally yoked. You need to share the same faith, and you're going to build each other up, and that's what you're supposed to do. But it is so difficult if you don't have each other to depend on in the faith department. I mean, it's just really, really tough. So, we have that going on now, and we'll be married 7 years this year, although it feels like we'll be married for 50 because we're both old now. But yeah, I mean, it's different, I think, when you do have a later in life marriage and understanding just what all that is about. And it's about a lot. I mean, yes, we love each other, romance and all that, but it's about like more than that. And, a married couple that's been together or just people who've been together for a long time, I think they understand that a little bit differently than newly married or new couples. I can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
My bad. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I was saying I totally understand. And I was talking to someone earlier today, actually. I was getting my car service and stuff. And me and the gentleman at the desk was just pretty much kind of compared, marriage or whatever. And he's like, oh, it's been such amount of years. I'm like, oh, I think I got one on you to, for this year or whatever. And one of the things I was sharing with him is that, definitely it seems like with age, of course they say more wisdom, but then it does really mean something in the marriage department, as well. Where, again, the wisdom that hopefully you gain.
Yes,
age,
exactly.
Right. That wisdom, in a marriage is this. I mean, it makes you value it more. It makes you see, everything that you just shared, like, how, again, valuable marriage is, especially in this world where people, make light of it, feel like it's just something to throw away or whatever the case may be. So
yeah,
I'm glad to hear that things are going well.
Yeah.
And the 7 years, they say 7 is completion. So woo, woo, woo,
Okay. All right. I'm going to take that. Yes.
Yes. And look, we're looking forward to hearing about many, many, many more years with you guys.
Yeah.
Being a kingdom couple.
Love it. I love it. Yes. Well, part of that too is, we're in this new place, and, back in Oklahoma, we were very active in our church, and he served, and we were both very active in serving, sometimes, job permitting, because sometimes you have to work on certain days. And so when we got here, we started doing some church shopping, and, I said, we need to find some place we're both comfortable with, because we know we're going to be in it. We're going to be serving, we're all, once we find some place, we're all in. And so we did. I want to say it was the second place we went to. He thinks it was the third, but whichever one it was, I knew immediately, this is it. But we still looked around some more, but we came back to this one, and it's a really good church. It reminds me of my old church, but I'm hopping in, serving, kind of doing some greeting, and so that's important. That's really important to us, and that's another part, I think, of that, equal faith, equally yoked. Yeah, I mean, this time around, I was real specific in what I wanted, right? And I said, you need to go to church with me like every Sunday, because like that's a non-starter. And he said, oh yeah, no, he agrees. And so, but for me, and I've said this before, and I know it may sound a little weird, but to me, that time you're in church, that hour you're in church, and you can, and certainly there are a lot of people who spend more time than that in church, but that time you're in church, when you are there, you're praying, you're worshiping side by side. Usually my hand is either kind of interlocked with his or whatever. It is one of the most intimate times of the week.
It's beautiful.
In my opinion, because you were there, you were sharing that faith, and you're worshiping together, and it's wonderful. And without that, there's something missing. There's just something. I'm just here to tell you, it's something missing.
Yeah. Oh, man, thank you for sharing that. I actually was going to ask you if you wanted to go a little deeper about that whole being equally yoked now, and again, the difference between the marriage before and now, because like I'm definitely, again, in the amen corner with everything you just said. I mean, I think people will kind of know about me and my marriage, and not to say that we're not, but I would say that my husband isn't necessarily, I don't think he understands fully the value of fellowship just yet. Like, I think he, so he comes sometimes and things like that, but with us having a son and everything, like, I knew that, okay, well, you should be the leader in this, in this particular, in every lane, honestly, with marriage, but definitely in the spiritual lane. But I'm gonna try to do my best to pick up whatever slack for our son. But ultimately, I am praying that he becomes, a little bit more involved, because now, I mean, I'm actually working at the church that we go to now, and so
wow, okay,
that came out of the, like, that was the blessing that came through last year and stuff that I didn't even know was what I needed, right? Because again, especially when the pandemic hit, and I started doing this and stuff, I was like, okay, Lord, if you want me to just stay here, do my thing, hustle from home, and stuff like that, and keep my business going, just do shows whenever, and then keep my online stuff going, and I was cool with that. But next thing I know, these doors open and just kind of fell on my lap in some ways, and there was a lot there. But anyway, back to what you were saying. About the being equally yoked and whatnot, like it does make a difference, and it does matter. Like, even those times when he has come, right, and like, say the church is doing an event, like an Easter event, or something, or whatever the case is, and he's there, and it's all three of us there. It's definitely, I don't know how much impact it has on our son. Like, I know he sees it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and,
right.
And I believe it has a huge impact, even though my son goes with me every Sunday, but it's like, I feel like there's just something special when it's all of us there. You know what I mean? Even if it's, me serving and where I am and working and stuff, and you're over there and stuff like that. But still, when we're coming together, even the being together coming, or being together going, I just feel like really there's something to that. And I think even with our son, just seeing that I don't know. But see, I think there's just something about a man being in church, period. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, you mentioned the word completion, and I think that is part of it. I mean, like you said, your son, he's at church and he every Sunday, but when you all go together as a family, there's a completion there, right? It's it's a unification, and saying, yes, Lord, we are here together as a unified family. He's young. He doesn't know all that, but he sees it. I mean, that's what I believe. I believe that he definitely sees it.
Yeah,
and
I believe so
the
too.
thing is, you've got to find. So I know a lot of people, they will pick a place based on like the child services. Like, a lot of, like, is the church child friendly? Do they have Sunday school? And all those things are really important. But in my experience, you and your man need to also be on board with the place. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I said we went church shopping, and there were a couple we knew immediately, no. But then we were kind of down to the last two. And I said, I'm good with either one. I kind of secretly wanted this up, but I said, I am, I can be happy. I'm good with either one. Which one do you like? Because he's got to be invested. If you're going to ask your man to go to church with you every Sunday, he's got to be, either as invested as you are, or somewhat invested. And, sometimes if and I obviously I don't know your situation, but sometimes I don't think it's a bad idea to reassess and say, hey, is there another church that would make us more comfortable as a couple? You know, so I don't think that's a bad thing to reassess. Leaving a church, I know it can be really tough. But if it's affecting, you know, the married unified couple going, then I don't think it's a bad thing to reassess.
I definitely keep that in mind. Yeah, for sure. I think what I'm observing is that I feel like he might have been raised in it, like maybe his grandmother maybe took him when he was younger, but it just didn't seem to be a thing, or maybe he didn't really. I don't know if there was church hurt in the family, or I'm not even sure.
Well,
like
no,
what the
you're
real.
right. Lots
But
of
yeah,
different people, they experience. So, you know, my husband was raised Methodist, and he fell away, but then got kind of re-energized in a non-denominational church. So I was raised Catholic and went to Catholic church for the better part of the first part of my life. Then started going to Episcopal church. There's kind of like a link in a way. You can be received into the Episcopal church if you're Catholic, you know. Anyway, I was happy with that because there's some similarities. There's like the ritual, the beauty, and all of that. But I also love contemporary Christian music. And so I am happy to go to non-denominational because I love that music, right? And if I asked him to go every Sunday with me to an Episcopalian church, that would be pulling teeth all day long. And he has gone with me a few times because there are some times of year, Christmas and Easter, I will be in either a Catholic or Episcopal church because I need that ritual. I need that beauty. I just can't go to non-denominational. To me, it's not Christmas or not Easter if I'm not in that kind of situation. So, you know, he'll go with me. But if I had to ask that of him every Sunday, it would not happen. So, you know, you both need to find a place where you're comfortable, where where the message is strong. I mean, it can't just be all about the music. The music has to be, great. Worship is always important, but the message has to be strong. And that was one thing that I found in the place where we are now. So for people listening out there, if you're having some disagreements on whether or not you're going to church every Sunday, it just might be that you guys haven't found like that perfect mixture that both of you need. And there may be some, because in a marriage, there's a give and take. So, there may be some of that even in the church you decide on, but ultimately God is everywhere, right? And he is at home, but I don't want to stay at home. I want to go out to church.
Yeah, I mean, because there's definitely something about the fellowship of the people coming together, and us, yes, as a couple, when in our family, but the whole community and whatnot in it as well. And what I will say is that what I've observed thus far is that, like, for example, last year he went more than he went the year before. So I feel like the prayer is slowly being answered, and things like that. I feel like he's coming around, and things of that nature. And so we're gonna see. I'm definitely gonna keep those things in mind that you were sharing and saying, and I'm gonna, maybe we'll have some conversations about it and whatnot as well. I mean, I know it will be very difficult with the work dynamic and whatnot, but at the same time, I'm open to if that's gonna help him. You know what I'm saying?
Work is hard. Work, because there was a time when my husband worked. Well, he was working every Sunday. And that was, and it wasn't his fault, but that was just a difficult time. And I was like, this is not working for me. We got to figure something out. And so now he has a job that he works every other Sunday, but he's still able to go to the early service with me. So you just have to try to figure out. But I would say that if you are having a conversation with your husband about church, it can't be from a place of blame or, again, you want to find a place that works for both of you. In the first marriage, my husband wanted to go to a church that just, the fellowship was great, but I wasn't being spiritually fed. And at one point he even stopped going to that. And I was like, well, no, I can't keep going. If you're not going and it's not spiritually feeding me, I need to go where God is calling me. So, but I believe that God calls couples, and you just have to listen and find a place where, again, both can be. And if it's going to like a Baptist church with the fire choir. I mean, wherever it is,
Mhm.
just, and, again, do some church shopping, visit a few places. Cause I do think that that's super important for, if you have the time, if the person's not working, to be
Mhm.
able to be in there with you and with the
Mhm.
child.
Right.
Mhm.
Hey, well, listen, look, I hope y'all all took those notes and whatnot. Like I said, I know I have mentally, and I guess I'll definitely keep those things in mind. So look, it seems like you had a lot to say about this marriage thing. I see you all, still full of joy and giddy, and now you're telling me you got a little romance book or something like that going
I
on. So
know, so
is
crazy.
that
Yes.
where the inspiration came from?
Well, and actually, I can't say that it was, because I've been writing this book. I started writing it in 2006, so it's just been sitting
Mm,
around. So I used to say I'm a former journalist, but I'm back in the industry, so I'm a journalist, and but I
oh,
used to cover crime, and so
okay.
this book, and only the first one is available now, but I'm going to have a series. It's
Mm,
a Christian reporter
okay.
editor. Her name is Linda Radcliffe, and Linda, covered crime in this small town in Oklahoma a long time ago, and she covered
Mm,
a serial killer, and it
mm,
was very emotionally draining. So she
mm,
ended leaving. She ended up leaving and going to another place, and she left reporting. She's an editor now. And then the
mm,
20-year anniversary of the death of one of this man's victims is happening. She gets a phone call from the mother of this woman, and she asked her to come back
mm,
to this town, because she's going to have kind of a memorial of the daughter. Um,
mhm,
and she's like, oh, that was a tough time, but she ends up coming back. But of course, there's lots of things happening when she goes back to
mm,
that town, and she reconnects with another former reporter, but he's now editor of the paper. And they had kind of had a little, nothing happened. They were
mhm.
interested in each other. Nothing happened, but their lives moved on. They both got married. They're both divorced. And now when she comes back to town, she reconnects with him again. But there's some issues. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, I
This sounds like a lot
really
of
enjoyed writing
fun.
this.
Oh,
It's called
now I didn't know
60.
you were into fiction. I don't think
Well,
did we
that's
talk
just it. I've been dabbling with it, but I haven't. This is the first published
Oh,
fiction book. Yeah. Yeah. I've done a lot of nonfiction. So this is the
got
first
you.
published fiction book, and it's called 60. It's available on Amazon, and
Mm.
yeah, check it out. It's an ebook, and I'm pretty sure it should be paperback pretty soon.
Awesome. Look, well, congratulations on,
Thank
look,
you.
new territory and
Hmm.
the
But
new
it's
book and
interesting though,
everything.
because you're right. So this is the first piece of fiction, and I was really kind of having difficulty with it, because I wanted this character to be real and authentic, and
Mm.
but I didn't want to offend any Christian women who know me for the other work that I've done. But I'm
Oh,
like, divorce happens, and
yeah.
people make mistakes. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was really kind of wavering with them, like, no, we're just going to be real. This is her
Mm-hmm.
life, and this is his life, and people made mistakes, and
Mm-hmm.
but in her heart, she is a believer, and she is kind, and the reason why she's being called back is because um, the mother of the crime victim remembers her as being such a compassionate reporter at the time, and
Mm.
help the family through this difficult time,
Mm-hmm.
that she wanted to have her back as part of the memorial. But there's other stuff too. But
I mean, I understand you can't give it all away, you know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah. So
But it
yeah,
does
so
sound,
definitely, and it's very affordable. The ebook is only 99 cents. The paperback obviously is going to be a little bit more, but it's very
okay.
affordable. So I encourage people to check it out. It's called 60, and it's available on
Mm.
Amazon. It might be available other places, but for sure it'll be available on Amazon.
Very nice. Well, listen, it's definitely giving me Hallmark / Lifetime vibes. Well, listen, don't get low. Don't keep talking to me because we'll have a movie around the corner.
Well, that would be
You
fun.
know? Yes. I mean, yeah, I can definitely. As you were talking, I'm like, I could totally see this because You know, that's what they do in those, you know, Hallmark movies and stuff, especially Christmas movies, you know. They're like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
first thing they come back to town, they meet somebody, you know, the one
yeah,
that got
yeah.
away. So
And
yeah, it
and
sounds
the
really
other thing
cool.
about the book is she's African American character, so she's a strong Black woman.
Okay.
Um, but her old flame is white, so it's an interracial relationship. So
Ah.
it's a multiracial, multi-ethnic book. And there's
Hmm.
there's obviously there's crime involved, and there's some bad stuff,
Yes.
but there's joy and there's love and there's family in the book.
Mm.
Mhm.
Awesome, awesome. Now, I definitely, when you first started telling me, I'm like, okay, it's not murder mystery, is it?
Yep.
I mean, you know, it's giving me murder, you know, and people that know, you know, I do my shows, my murder mystery shows. So I'm like eating all this up right now. It sounds really, really cool. Like,
You know,
I
so
commend you.
it's well, thank you. And it's so funny because it kind of goes against, I don't know, I may have to change up the cover at some point, but I see that so many of these romance novels, they have the two characters, the man and the woman on the cover. But
Oh,
with at least with this first one with 60, it's just Linda. She's front and center, she's strong Black woman, and
mm.
she's doing her thing. And so, you know.
Okay. I mean, nothing
Mhm.
wrong with that. Look, this is your book. You can do the book the way you want it,
Yeah, we're gonna see anyway. We're gonna
you
see.
know? And you said this is about to be a series?
Yes, because I can't say what happens, but there's
Okay.
something that happens at the end that takes us
Ooh.
into book two. Book two has a working title called Trial of the Heart, but we'll see. That's just a
Ooh.
working title. So
Okay. Well,
yeah,
listen,
there's some
girl.
stuff that happens. She's she's in one city working at her editor job, but this takes
Mm,
her back to not back home. She's not from that place, but takes her back to this town where she worked, and something's gonna be keeping her there. So
mm.
as we move on into book two.
Man, look at, well, I'm excited. I don't know about nobody else, but that sounds amazing. Sounds like some good. You said her name was Linda? Lydia?
Linda Radcliffe,
Linda?
yeah.
Okay, Miss Linda. Well,
And if your viewers and listeners go to positivelyjoy.com and sign up, I have like a little some resource lots of resources on there, but one is about Linda, and it's an interview with Linda, kind of telling a little bit about who she is. So it's someone actually interviewing Linda.
what?
You can check that
Okay.
out.
Oh, so you already got your cast. So we finna have a show or a movie for real then, because you got Linda out there. She out there already. Okay. Now, wait, so is it not fiction or is Linda a
Oh
real
no, it's
person?
fiction. It's well, I mean, there are some real life elements. I was a reporter in a small town, and I did cover crime, but
I mean,
beyond that, no.
I was putting the two and two together.
Yeah, beyond that, no.
I
There's a lot of
do.
stuff in there. No, that did not happen. It's fiction. But
Okay.
but you know, it's but I really tried to keep it as real and authentic as possible, which is again why I kind of had to wrestle with that whole thing about, well, if people are going to be offended by divorce or whatever. But I mean, it happens, and it's
It
real
does.
life, right? So
Mm-hmm.
um
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and people do make mistakes and they find each other again sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So you know,
It sounds to me like you've had a lot of fun with this book.
I had, you know, it's fun writing dialogue because again, as you know, I've written devotionals, I've written, you know, the journal is out now, which I can show you because I actually have that with me.
Ooh,
Journaling His Joy. So for you
beautiful.
journalers and planners out there, you know, you
Mm-hmm.
can use this. It's like six
Mm,
months of places to journal, and it's scripture driven. So each
mm,
week you have a prompt. And so Journaling His Joy, which is also out now on Amazon, if you like to journal or to be a plan, use a planner or whatever, it can be helpful because it's scripture driven, it's prompt driven.
mm,
So I've done books like that, right? I have a book of poetry, but it's faith based, things like that. But
mm,
this is the first um, you know, novel or novella about a story
yes.
about some people, and it has been fun to write and to do the dialogue, develop their characters. You know, what are they about? You know, what drives them? And
Mm.
belief and faith certainly do. Hmm.
That is awesome. Listen, I'm all for it. Like I'm definitely on team. Make more Christian content. So that's
Yeah.
amazing. Um, I think we talked about that last time you were here, right? That when you started creating your Christian content in regards to, I know your podcasts and your books and stuff like that. Did you say your husband kind of encouraged that as well?
Well,
Maybe I'm being...
he definitely encourages, but he is not interested in being involved. I've tried to get him to come on because I have over 200 episodes now on the podcast, and like a few times I have like like a milestone, like 100 episodes or whatever. I'm like, I would love for you to be on the show, and that's just not him. So, but he definitely he encourages, and but I think we did just talk about the fact that there is a lot of Christian content out there, and I'm a big Chosen fan, and the people behind Chosen, Dallas Jenkins and his wife, Angel Studios. We're seeing more and more content come out like that. Sometimes fiction, sometimes obviously the Chosen is based on the life of Jesus. And I think that's really important to have the choice to be able to watch, So last week, so my church is doing like 21 days of prayer and fasting. A lot of churches they do that in the beginning of the year. And the way I kind of like to do it is to split it up and not necessarily all make it about food, make it about some other things. And so for 1 week I said, okay, I'm a huge TV watcher. Probably I watch too much TV. So I said, okay, this week I'm only going to consume Christian content. And I wondered, and I'm not bragging or anything, because when you're fasting from something, it's not about that. But I'm saying this because I wondered if there was going to be enough for me to look at. And you know what? There's quite a bit. I mean, I watched obviously there's the Chosen you can watch, but I watched movies about Esther, about Solomon, about Saul. They've got movies on Matthew and John. I mean, there's a lot of Christian content. And then, of course, there's fiction Christian, which I actually didn't even look at. I was just looking at all the biblical characters, which was well done. Some better than others, but it was well done. There were, in fact, 2 Esther movies. One was better than the other one. Well, when I say better, one was more biblically specific than the other one. But both were good. And it was interesting. And what it did, like I'd be watching the movie and I'm like, is that right? Is that really from the Bible? Then you go back. So then I got back into my Bible and I was reading the book of Esther. And I'm like, okay, now did that happen? Yeah, that happened. So sometimes that's the beauty of the Christian content, because it can drive you back to the source, which is so important.
That is. Honestly, you took that first phrase you said right out of my mouth, because that's what I've been saying too. Being able to have the choice to choose what it is you want to watch. And I feel like there's a lot of things that kind of try to censor Christians in a lot of ways, where it's like, just let us be. If we're supposed to be free speech and all this type of stuff, let Christians put their content out, let other people put their content out, and let people be able to choose, instead of trying to censor this side over here and then promote heavy the other side. And I don't know, of course, that's just I guess
well, no, I agree with you. One thing that is kind of new that you may not know about is I got kicked off of Facebook. I didn't get put in Facebook jail. One day I was in the middle of a post, literally, I was in the middle of a post thanking all the guests that had been on the show last year. I was, doing that, and I was tagging them saying, thank you. It's been a great year. And then all of a sudden my screen went white and it said, your account is disabled because you have violated community standards. And then they said, you can appeal. There's a one-time appeal. And so I'm like, what in the world just happened? I am not violating. Well, so I don't know what happened. They don't tell you. I appealed. They turned me down. They kicked me off. My account was gone. So I had to re-up, create a brand new account, different email, which is just an inconvenience. And this was Facebook. And there's old, so my account is gone, but there were pages connected to the old account, like the Positively Joy podcast page is still out there. I can't do anything to it. It's ridiculous. They're if they really believe that there's a community standard violation, then just wipe the whole thing. But you can find me again. I am on Facebook, Yvette Walker, and there is a Positively Joy page. There's 2. because there's one that I can't do anything with. And it's just very, so I will say this, and I've said this before, especially for social media entrepreneurs, you cannot only rely on something that doesn't belong to you. You don't own it. You don't even pay for it. And don't base your business on something that you really don't even necessarily have access to. So I encourage people, if you are, and there's lots of entrepreneurs out there, influencers, and that's great, but you've also got to have something else. You got to have your own website. You got to have your own email list, because I've been on Facebook since 2006, about almost 4,000 followers, all that gone. So now I'm rebuilding, because I believe that God wants me to rebuild and wants me to be out there, because he has a message of joy that he has told me to deliver, and I'm going to be obedient. But it's just very difficult and very much of a pain.
Right. Yeah.
So there is someone like a long time ago, when people say they're maybe persecuting Christians on social media, I might have said, but I'm hearing more and more. I am hearing more and more. I've heard people who lost their businesses. I've heard about people who, again, like me, just had to rebuild from scratch. And so it was funny, because when I got up to 300, I was like, woohoo, 300 followers. I had almost 4,000, but I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it.
Yeah. Look, be thankful all again and celebrate each milestone again. It's just,
absolutely,
man. I was just thinking that I've heard about this phrase called shadow ban and stuff now, where they'll, I guess, limit people where they can only certain amount of people can see you, and maybe, I don't know, man, what all is going on. Of course, back in the day,
certainly the algorithm. Yeah, we don't know what the algorithm is doing, and I'm typically not a conspiracy theorist, but I will just say I don't know. I don't know. I can tell you what happened to me. I'm very normal, and I have to be, because I'm a journalist and I'm kind of in the public eye. When I went on Twitter to say that Facebook kicked me off, somebody wrote, they kicked off an editor? Like, what's next? I mean, it's just, it's ridiculous. Now, they didn't kick me off because of my journalism. They don't tell you why. But the only thing I'm posting about is Christian and values and morals and, my books and the podcast and people's stories. So that's all I'm doing. So why,
Man, look, well, we know what it is. It's that spiritual enemy attack, and persecution in different ways. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is as well. Because again, the spirit behind the people behind the thing. You know what I mean? And so we have to pray against that again. I try my best to just stay consistent with what I'm doing, and I try not to even think about like how many views it is and stuff. Like when I hit certain milestones, or I get a notification like, oh, you got this many subscribers, or oh, you got this many whatever, this many views or whatever. I'll try to shout that stuff out to celebrate it and stuff. But outside of that, I'm just like, I think it's more important for me to, if I'm going to do daily inspiration, keep the daily inspiration. If I'm going to have the weekly talk show, keep the weekly talk show. That's been my challenge for me since I kicked, again, God, Sex, and Love off. And I feel like the fruit I'm receiving is different. Like, but again, I mean, I don't know if that's just that wisdom we were talking about earlier. With the age comes wisdom and stuff. Because back in the day, if people look at my first, or I still got a YouTube channel that's Actress Miracle Sims, and I would do videos and then I would stop and get discouraged. And I feel like I have more videos and more views on some of those videos than I have on some of the videos I have now. But the difference is that I feel like, again, God has put something in me to be consistent. It doesn't matter how many views it is. It doesn't matter how many subscribers it is. You just keep doing, I feel like the work and whatnot. And so I know that can get discouraging, like once you do build something and then someone just snatches it or whatever. But like you say, this is, I guess, a reminder for us to, I guess, sow a variety of seeds and get, I guess, contingency plans in place and all of that different type of stuff. So
no, you're right. It is really true. But I will say this, it's interesting. So the people that I like when you said sowing seeds. So the people that I'm gathering or the sowing right now, is not as many but in the end, they may be the people that I really need more around me than the people than before, right? Also, there's something that I kind of knew I needed to do. I needed to do more video. I said, "Oh, you need to do more video." That's just we're in the age of video. I need to do that. And if God's given you a message to deliver, you need to do more video. But I was spending a lot of more time on Facebook and posting and not really doing a lot of Instagram. I'm on Instagram, but I wasn't really very active on Instagram, which of course is really all visuals and video driven. I'm not on TikTok. I don't know. I'm just not there yet. I'm not there yet. And I'm praying on it. I don't know if it's just me or if God's telling me I don't need to be there yet. I'm not quite sure what, but for whatever reason, I'm not there. But the fact that now I'm really not, I am on Facebook. Obviously I'm there, but I'm not sewing a lot into Facebook because who knows now. And I also realize it is owned by the same company. So Instagram and Facebook owned by the same company, but I am spending more time on video, which is something that I needed to do. So, you are going to find some benefits, even, when bad things happen, and you got to find the joy in everything. Of course, that's my message. So, so even though that was an inconvenience, it was very frustrating. I felt like a victim, right? And I felt like, I didn't do anything wrong. You just have a lot of feelings like that. But move on and start sewing in other places. So for sure.
Yes. Look, all things work together for the good of those that love God. So I mean, even I add in the part, not trying to add to the Bible. I always say that, like, not trying to, do that whole thing and get cast out like, oh, you added to the Bible. But I try to remind myself even the things I don't understand, and so, who knows the reason, God allowed that to go ahead and happen, but you just said some reasons it could be, maybe so you can start focusing on videos or start focusing on another platform. Like maybe somebody need to hear you over here versus over there, so you just never know what it is. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're still going and thriving. And again, like I said, embarking on some new territory and with your books and everything like that. So it kind of told you already kind of told us a little sneak peek about like some of the things we could look out for when it comes to it. But I mean, hey, give us an update about like how's the podcast going and
podcast is going well. So as I said, like we hit over 200 episodes sometime last year, but we finally got, I kind of had a little mini goal in mind. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I was hoping that we would hit 50,000 downloads by the end of 2023. And we did. So we hit that goal, which is great. And, and it's just a goal. Everything is for the glory of God. So any of these landmarks we're talking about or these goals, I mean, they're not for us, right? Because we're going to give God the glory. So in the middle of season five started like around September of last year, end of August. So we're still kind of moving into season 5. The way the show kind of goes is we'll have a season, then we'll have a little break where I do some throwbacks and run some reruns per se, and then we'll start up again. So season 6 is coming in 2024.
Nice.
Hopefully we'll see you on there. Yay.
I can't wait.
Yeah. And so, we'll see what happens in season 6. So every season has kind of a different theme. And so season 5 was spiritual growth. And so for season 6, I'm not quite sure what it is just yet, but I do have a word of the year. So I normally kind of not, I mean, sometimes I'll do that in a year and sometimes I don't, but you know how God just puts a word in front of you? And so this year, all of a sudden, I don't know if I was on YouTube or wherever it was, but there's a song back from like 2008 or something, a song that connected with me. Just, how a song just touched you. It's called Unrestrained. It was by a singer named Calvin Noel. He's still around, but I had this CD where the song was on it. I played that CD so much you couldn't even play it anymore, and you couldn't get the album anymore. You couldn't get the CD. It was a limited release. So I want to say it's been 10 years since I've heard that song, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Unrestrained I was like, at first I saw it, I'm like, I remember that song, and I remember how that made me feel. And it's just about having, you know, you're unrestrained in your faith and unrestrained in your joy and your love for God. So unrestrained is my word this year, because I am all in. I am unrestrained. And hearing this song again, I had to listen to it a couple of times, because I'm like, that's the song. That is the song that was the soundtrack of my life was as long as I had. I mean, every time I was in the car, I would play this. You can listen to it on YouTube, but I created a playlist. So I created a playlist, and if you are a free subscriber to my newsletter, I released a playlist last year. So again, you can go to the website positivelyjoy.com and get any of my resources, and you'll get put on that, and then you can see the playlist. But Unrestrained is on there. I love Smile by Kirk Franklin. I love Defender by Rita Springer. I love Gyra by Maverick City. I mean, all the songs that just touch me, speak to me. I created this playlist. It's about it's 23 songs. It's a solid 2 hours, and it's 2 hours of just wonderful worship and joy. And it's on Spotify, so you can look for it. But you can get the link if you go and become a subscriber to my newsletter. And that's a weekly thing. So what I'm doing is I've got the weekly podcast. I have a weekly newsletter. Obviously I've got the social media ministry, because that's the ministry. I've got the nonfiction books, the devotional books, and of course I've got the fiction coming out. So that's what life is like right now.
Awesome. Well, look, like I said, congratulations on all of those things. Congratulations on getting back into journalism as well. I know you kind of slipped that in earlier, Yeah. I don't know how you feel. Like, I don't know if you want to talk about that real quick.
Well, I mean, I will tell you. So the big thing about that is, when I was a journalist in news, like in kind of in charge of the front page, I felt very tentative about being unrestrained in my faith. I felt like I couldn't. I felt like I had to be completely objective. I couldn't show that. But where God has placed me now is not in news, but in the opinion section. I get to have an opinion. And you know what? I've got a strong opinion.
All right.
So it's so interesting how he did that. He paved the way. I was in academia. I was teaching journalism, which was great. Loved doing that. Loved my students. But we just talked about Esther for such a time as this. And this came available, and it just seemed like he was just paving the road. I'd have these interviews that would go well. I mean, it just seemed like it was a very easy pave of the road to get to where I am now. And I think he has me here for a reason. But part of the reason is because I am an opinion, I can not feel uncomfortable about the fact that I'm a Christian and I'm a believer and I have faith and I'm saying it loudly. And so he's put me here. That itself has been a very interesting road.
Wow. Well, look, yes, congratulations on that as well, because again, we definitely need the Christian voice to be heard. You know what I mean? Like, people like to try to, I guess, allude like, oh, well, y'all are out here and people know about y'all and that's why then y'all the ones oppressing people. But it's like, if you really look, you know what I mean, then you'll see where the persecution is going. And to me, from my perspective, like, it seems like it's going more towards Jesus than any other thing. You know what I mean? Like, people feel away about the name of Jesus. You know what I mean? But when any other thing is fine.
When this comes out, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but Lil Nas X's J Christ just came out. Have you seen that video?
I've heard about it. I did not see it. I also heard about the Book of Clarence and what's going on with that. But
yes.
So
I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. By the time this is out, it'll be curious to see how people have reacted to it. I will say this: Lil Nas X came on and I wouldn't say that he apologized, but he said that he didn't intend to offend anybody with, yeah, okay. You know what? I'm not going to write about this. I did write about it when he did the sneakers with the blood in it and the stripper pole to hell. In the first video, I did write about that. Because it just, the imagery was just, it was too much. And I will say this, people are reviewing this video, and the imagery is better than the other one, where, it was just such an affront to Christianity. The imagery here is a little better, but still, it's, the motives you have to question. And, and obviously he's made out to be Jesus, and, I mean, whatever it is. But I will say this, once you start going down especially in social media, once you start going down the Christian rabbit hole, there's a lot of Christian content out there. There's a lot of people to follow. There's a lot of people doing good work. And I appreciate everyone out there who are just doing it because they're not making money at it. I mean, some people may have some influencer deals, but a lot of people do not. And they just do it because they feel it's important. And I didn't even realize how much was out there until you start looking. So that's a blessing.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Look, we paving the way. We coming in there. We coming. I feel like definitely, because again, even when I think about what I'm doing here with GSL and how it pretty much was inspired by me back in the day, looking around as a single person, feeling like I'm not hearing what I need to hear, and stuff like that. And then now, there's way much more people talking about, again, the subjects of God, sex, and love, and everything like that, to where, again, I didn't know the platform was going to go the way it has gone. And, I'm talking about way more than, of course, those three subjects. But there are places that are going and being very specific about only talking about Christian sex and, and stuff like that, or sex from a Christian perspective, and stuff. And so I feel like, there's way more options and things available now than probably ever. So God is good for that. And you know what? And the other thing I think is important for people who wanted to do this or who are doing it, it's important to not get discouraged, because so the Lord told me to start talking about joy in 2019. Well, 2020. And I have found, there were people talking about joy in 2020, but I'm just finding more and more people talking about joy. And it's important. It's important for me not to be discouraged or like, oh, they're getting success. I mean, what I believe has happened is the Lord has impressed upon people to talk about joy. And it wasn't just me. He's told other people that people need to understand what real joy is. There's a line in the song that says, I have joy in chaos. I have peace that makes no sense. That is the kind of joy we're talking about. So what I'm doing is I'm embracing, like I call us the Joy Girls. Anyone who's out there is talking about joy, we're part of the Joy Sisterhood. And it's great and it's important, because that's what he's told us to talk about. And so that's what we're doing. And he told you to talk about, again, he started you off with God, sex, and love. Now you may talk about other things too, but a lot of times you'll go back to that kind of the origin of that. And other people are talking about it too. He obviously told other people to deliver the message as well. And so, we just have to be obedient. Yes. And I think that kind of goes along with what I feel like. Well, one of the things in the beginning, like when I first started doing the Juice, the daily inspiration segment and stuff like that, for whatever reason, it seems like sometimes when you're embarking on something on your own, you kind of minimize it and you think like, well, it's not as good as, right? Or it's not like what this person is doing, or whatever the case may be. And I guess I was trying to decide at that time, like, how often am I going to do this daily inspiration? Even though I was already calling it daily inspiration, but I just was like, am I going to do it once a week? Am I going to do it once a month? I go talk to my husband, and I'm like, I'm thinking maybe. He's like, well, successful people do it every day. And I'm like, every day? What would I talk about every day? And that's why I started praying, like, well, Lord, what would I talk about every day? And then that's when daily inspiration came. And I still was questioning it at the time. And so my mentor was like, it's in the name. It's daily, the juice, your daily dose of inspiration. It's daily. I was like, okay, all right, well, and I kind of joked at that time, like, oh, well, Lord, am I really going to have something inspirational to say every day? And April 1st, 2020 was the beginning, Monday through Saturday, every day. I mean, there's been some exceptions. There's been some Sabbaths. There's been some moments where I'm like, oh, y'all, I'm tired. Da, 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 da. Today. But for the most part, between now and then, he's giving me something every day. And not to say that somebody else might not be, might be getting the same message or whatever the case may be, but it's important I think it's important for us to remember there's only one us, right? There's only one you, there's only one me, and no one can do and say what I'm supposed to do and say, right?
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
Yeah, so I hope that encouraged the next person as well.
Absolutely, and kudos to you for keeping that going, because I will tell you, at first I started off and I wasn't sure how often I would release a podcast, and I started off saying, well, we'll do twice a week. But because mine is an interview podcast like yours, and there's production involved in all of it, and it's like I realized I can't keep that up, and I'm working full time outside the home. So I'm like, so I made that decision. I felt like that was okay. I felt like he felt like that was okay. But that's a commitment. So I congratulate you on Daily Inspiration.
Yeah, and that was the thing, because again, I put it under the umbrella of God, Sex, and Love because that's the name that was in my head. But I always imagined it to be a talk show. But I kind of imagined it be more so like, I guess, The View, or I don't know about The View, but or I think I had The Real on my mind, or something like that. Ladies at a Table. I thought that's what it was going to be. And but when I finally put it out to the public, I'm like, hey, I got this thing, God, Sex, and Love. I'm going to start with Daily Inspiration. That's already a show. That's a show all by itself. Then next thing I know, a few months into doing Daily Inspiration, I got the opportunity to finally do the talk show. So then now I had the GSL Talk Show, and now these are two separate shows. So instead of it being God, Sex, and Love, this talk show, it's more like God, Sex, and Love, the network. Or something.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like it's like the channel, it's like the station. It's God, Sex, and Love, and then there's all these shows on the station. And I'm like, okay, Lord. Well, I mean,
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, the most consistent ones are the ones I just told you, but I mean, there's been some other show ideas, and and there's been other concepts that are still kind of like in the works and stuff, but I'm like, okay, Lord, whatever you want to do. I mean, obviously this is your
he's driving.
I thought it was just a talk show, but apparently not. So
Miracle, that's great. That is wonderful. And and with a name like yours, you can do anything, right?
Well, little shout out to Mama. Thank you. Well, I know I can sit here and talk to you all day, but I know you got better or other things to do.
Yes, that's right. Lunch hour is over.
So remind everyone where they can find you and your books and everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So positivelyjoy.com is kind of the one-stop shopping. I have a link tree that I'll share with you, where you can also get to the podcast, you can get to the website, but also I'm speaking different places, and some places are virtual. So if you're interested in hearing me speak about joy, there's a few things that are coming up. Actually, something coming up later in the year, and so that people might be interested in. So I will definitely share with you all that. But yeah, positivelyjoy.com is the place you can go.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming back to see us and give us this awesome update. And you're welcome to come on back anytime.
Thank you.
I don't know if you want to do what I did, or it wasn't what I did per se, but so I finally got my husband to be on the channel. And it was when because he was like, how about we use it as an incentive? When you reach 1,000 subscribers, I'll be on the channel. So when I reached 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, he finally got on the channel. So I don't know if you want to use that and see if your husband.
Well, I will ask him about that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, look, come on, GSL.
Yeah, because really they are a huge part. At least mine is a huge part of what we do and what keeps us going. Yeah.
Yes. So I don't know. Just throwing that out there. Maybe y'all can, you can.
I'm going to talk to him about that. I sure will.
Yeah. But either way, even if he doesn't come, you're definitely welcome to come back anytime.
Right. Thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you so much for watching the GSL Talk Show. And thank you to Miss Yvette for joining us tonight. I hope that you guys enjoyed this conversation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And check out Miss Yvette's book and the rest of her endeavors. Have a good night.